Hey everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough Innovation, where we uncover what it takes to lead change, create value, and build what's next. I'm JL Heather. Preston's out in London living up life, but together we lead Centered, a firm that helps organizations navigate complexity, spark creativity, and unlock the full potential of their teams through innovation coaching and strategy. Today's guest is redefining what it means to be discoverable, not just in search, but in business and leadership. We're joined by Heather Physioc, Chief Discoverability Officer at VML, where she leads a global team of award-winning search and content marketing experts serving some of the world's largest brands. Under her leadership, VML's Discoverability Group has been named Best Large Integrated Search Agency, Integrated Search Agency of the Year, and International Search Team of the Year. Some big awards there. Heather is also a global keynote speaker, educator, conservationist, and former adjunct professor of digital marketing at the University of Kansas. She shared the stage at conferences from MozCon to Friends of Search to TEDx Women KC, inspiring audiences to rethink how they use search data, storytelling, and organizational design to create a more human, connected, and scalable marketing system. Heather brings a rare blend of creativity, curiosity, analytical rigor, and leadership depth, showing how to bridge the worlds of marketing, business strategy, and organizational change. Heather, it's really good to see you again. I love every conversation we have, and I can't wait for this one. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. I know we were talking before we started recording, and it's so hard to know where to start. Maybe we go a little bit broad and we focus more on the leadership side of things here, because I think when we talk about discoverability, it cuts across the content, the UX, SEO, analytics, product, brand, basically everything an organization has to consider.
Mm.
And I think one of the biggest problem organizations have is the silos. So how do we get siloed teams to align around a unified strategy that's needed to support discoverability?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it a lot as, marketers and people in different disciplines about the need to partner and work together and break down silos. It's sort of a constant refrain in business, isn't it? Now, I think we are entering a moment where it is not optional. Like we've been doing all these wonderful specialized channels and disciplines and going deep. But I think what this new era of search and discoverability and this entire AI landscape is telling us is that we need to start bringing those things together. We're
Yeah.
seeing it in human behavior, they want to bring things together. We're seeing it in the technology, they want to bring things together. The world is craving some defragmentation at its most fragmented moment, right? And so I guess the way I'm approaching these conversations, I guess it's multifold, right? A lot of people are feeling afraid and intimidated by AI and what it means for their careers and their specialties and whether clients will
Yeah.
believe they still have value and all of these things. But then a lot of folks are also super excited about the potential of what it can do. It's
Right.
like this bell curve of how people feel about it. So I kind of need to speak to different audiences in different ways about why we need to partner, why we need to work together on things. And for those who are feeling afraid or intimidated, the good news for that audience is that a lot of the great things that they've been doing and invested in all these years to become highly specialized in their area is still so valuable,
Right.
incredibly important. That expertise still matters. And I think that audience needs to hear that. And then to pair that with the optimists, the AI optimists, or the people who are out there just kind of embracing and experimenting with it and trying to make those things kind of meet in the middle. None of us want to lose. Like none of us want to start to fall back in this new
Right.
era. So it behooves us to sort of unite against this common, I don't want to say enemy, common objective, if you will, to survive and thrive this new
Yeah.
era. And so I'm really approaching it from the lens of we can all elevate each other.
Mm.
All that great stuff you're doing, imagine what could happen if we plug those in together, or if we found the best of those things and started to align them toward something shared. And that's been kind of my way in to break down that conversation. I
Yeah.
mean, when people realize that those of us who've been working in search have been working on AI problems for 20 years, they
Yeah.
realize that we have knowledge and skills that can actually benefit them in this new era. So I'm excited to give that to people, and I think it'll lead to a lot better connection and elevation.
Yeah. AI feels very recent, but in a lot of ways it's not. Like it's been around, especially the predictive LLM type models and things like that. They're gaining traction now, but they've definitely been there. I think what
especially in the form of machine learning, right? Like
right,
Google's been
absolutely.
saying they're an AI since like 2009.
Yeah, and we're a long ways from, like, the generalized intelligence and things like that. But, like, what I hear you saying is AI is taking maybe the least human part of the work out and making room for the most human part of the work to flourish. You know, the collaboration, the
Mm.
creativity, the innovation. And it feels like to me what you're saying is when people can see that and see the importance, the imperative of actually leaning into that, it can actually create some magic within an organization, and it doesn't have to be painful. It can be more inspirational.
Absolutely, absolutely. That said, I do think there is a lot of suffering to be had
Yeah,
from AI in the short term. I don't know why we are trying to use it so much to replace the best of humanity and like creativity, but hopefully we'll start to use it for more of those wheel greasing, facilitating type
right,
things instead to allow the best of humanity. But I love that sort of optimistic take you just had about how it enables the best collaboration that we've always wanted to do. Now it's kind of made it
right.
mandatory. I do think that's true.
And I mean, you're right. There's gonna be pain with any sort of change. Like, what are the predictions? Something like 99% of AI initiatives are gonna fail, right? You know, so we're
I
gonna
have
have a
not
lot of
heard that
pain there.
stat, but that sounds really bleak.
Well, but and the thing is, like, so many people are trying to create something new with AI. No one knows what's gonna stick. No one knows how the consolidation is gonna happen. So a huge portion of the AI initiatives that are happening right now are probably not gonna succeed in all the traditional ways we measure success, whether that's
1,000% agree.
discoverability,
Yeah.
anything else.
Yep. Totally, totally agree.
I think when we talk about unifying people around the strategy, what I hear you saying is AI is helping maybe remove some of the clutter.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. I mean, we're seeing AI solve a pretty core human problem that we've had for a long time, and it feels like no one was listening to. It's too hard to find stuff. The idea Google delivered on being able to find our way to find things, but not always the finding stuff directly.
Right,
That's the thing that's changing. So that process between realizing we have a need or a curiosity or something to accomplish and then actually being able to make that decision or make that move has greatly shortened. That runway is just so much shorter than it
right,
used to be because of these technologies. I think it's like I said earlier, like we're craving a defragmentation, and when we were in this old world, say Google, for example, you search, you try to put that information in your brain, you come back, you try to do a different search, add more information into your brain, come back, do a different search. People are overwhelmed with information and content and media and messages. It's flooding in at all times. Like we
yeah.
have total decision fatigue. We're overwhelmed at all times. It's hard to make decisions, and it's really hard to make decisions that are informed by our own personalized situation, our own
Right.
unique context in our households, for example. So I think it's enabling many more shortcuts to accomplish that. So it's a
Yeah.
great service when it gets it right.
Well, and it's interesting, you know, you talk about Google from the past where search felt like just a singular channel. Like if I
Mm,
show up in the Google search results, I'm doing the right thing.
mm,
Now, though, search is something far more. Like when you look at the data you get out of search, when you look at the way that people are interacting with the data, whether it's consolidated or fragmented, it's a reflection of culture at that point, of like individual curiosity. But maybe like talk a little bit about it as you've looked at all of this. What are some of the trends in search data that you're seeing right now that tell you something deeper about how people are thinking or feeling? Like, what have we learned from it?
sure, sure. Well, I mean, I think we've long assumed that people stay in a single lane or a single platform when they're trying
Yeah,
to find information or complete tasks. But the reality is that one channel was never fully efficient enough or effective enough to solve
right,
all things for all people. And so now there are so many more options to discover and explore and find information than just the one big one, the Google of the world.
right,
And so we're finding that people are just weaving in and out of different platforms, not going in a straight line, but weaving in and
right,
out of different platforms. And for things that are a longer sales cycle or a larger purchase, those especially, you're going to see people doing a lot of upfront research before they're making a decision, which isn't entirely new.
right,
But now we're seeing that people have the tools to do these highly contextual, personalized, circumstantial searches to find the solutions that are just right for them. And I'm finding that it's also, well, this has always been true long as I've known it, search data is a really good proxy for what is happening in real time. So if there are ads that are running or if there's news that is happening, you can see that very promptly reflected in how people search in that search data. So you can see these changing trends and behaviors over time. But the number one thing I am seeing in this new world is that personalized, more contextual approach. And
Yeah.
so their expectations of what they get back from these platforms is equally nuanced and personalized and complex.
I like that because it feels empowering, right? Like people have tools now to get the information they need, and organizations have visibility into that process that helps them make better decisions. And I know we've typically looked at search as a marketing
Mm,
function, but all that data, it's so rich. I wonder, like, how is that data, how should that data or how could that data be used to help outside of marketing, like help leaders
mm.
make better decisions just in general?
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite applications of search data is just understanding the questions people ask. I
Mm,
mean, when we go on social media, we lie. We like tell people what we want people to believe about us. We
right.
put on this facade. But when we turn to search engines, we tell the truth. We have to tell the truth
Mm,
or we will not get the answers back that we expect. But we
right.
also expect it to be anonymous. So we're very candid. And I think that is what I love most about search data, search intelligence is that it is this real slice of human behavior and thinking and
Mm,
motivation. I don't know. I feel like I get to understand them and the problems that they're trying to solve or the things that worry them. And so this may sound a little bit stretchy, but I actually find that search intelligence is an exercise in empathy.
ooh,
So, for example, I have worked on search intelligence for brands like pharmaceutical brands that treat ovarian cancer. And so you're seeing not just the like practical business elements of which treatment is right for this and what is the diagnosis and what are the some the medical stuff. You're also seeing how do I find support and how do I prepare for life after cancer? How do I prepare
right,
for end of life? And all these questions that people aren't necessarily asking out loud. So
right.
I find it to be just so insightful, meaningful, touching in a way,
Yeah.
personal. So no shade or shame in my game here, but like if I'm trying to solve a leadership problem or something at work, I'm not just going and Googling and seeing what other people are doing. I'm going to go look at what people are searching because
Mm.
that tells me the things that are on their mind, the questions they're asking, the objections they're trying to overcome, blockers. It helps me anticipate and answer the things that people are going to need.
No, I love probably everything you just said there because when you think about it, like from the product or service world, the number one most important first step out there is what is the problem people have that needs solving?
Mm,
Like, really understanding that. So many organizations say, here's the solution I want to sell and work backwards. The ability to actually have, let's call it a crystal ball just for fun, to look into that crystal ball and be able to say, "No, this is the problem that people have.
yeah,
This is the thing that they would never say on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, but this is the thing that they are truly struggling with. And if I could solve that, I could actually change people's lives for the better. Like that's really powerful. And I
bingo.
choose to say it has changed people's lives for the better to have that optimistic view of kind of the why people do the things they do. But
Did you reduce friction? Did you give them time back in
right.
their day? Did you make them a little less stressed? You
Yeah.
might be doing a great service.
Yeah. I mean, just knowing that you helped them get the information they needed at a time when they really felt they needed it. Like there's a lot of power in that, especially when you start talking about things like health issues, health crises, any of that sort of stuff. That alone is such a big service. And I think maybe you're seeing this too. I think it's pretty well known. Like people don't look at products one dimensionally anymore if they ever did. It's so much more about the company. It's so much more
Mm,
about the source of the information, their impact in the world, how they treat their people. Are they innovative or not? So when we kind of like, I guess maybe bring all this together to some extent, that's the case for breaking down the silos. That's the case
mm,
for looking at it as not just a single channel,
mm.
is this is your one of your biggest sources of truth that helps you get to know your customer.
I love that you're kind of going down this truth avenue and the value we provide customers, solving their problems, finding the use cases, the things that are driving them to search. But I'm also thinking a lot about trust from the brand angle.
Mm,
So 20 years ago, when The search results were just getting flooded with garbage. We all got told to make 300 words of good, unique content. We just flooded the web with it and we're cramming keywords and things. Well, eventually you've got a sea of sameness, a bunch of junk. That's not
Yep.
good for searchers. That wasn't good for the search engine because people didn't want to use the search engine and they don't make any money. It's a bad
Right.
thing. And so Google and the search engines at that time started to prioritize signals of humanity, realness, authority, trust, credibility, names, contact information, vouching, anything that could prove that that information was coming from a real person, a real expert. It was backed by something.
Mm,
Citations became huge, credibility became big. So
right.
trust signals and citations became a bigger piece of how Google returned information. That is the next frontier of the AI era, the AI search, LLM search wars. Because right now, people know they
Mm,
can't trust the information that they're getting back. They're getting their wrist slapped and they're messing up because they're trusting it too
right.
much. So they know they can't trust it, but they are starting to use it for certain purposes and to
Right.
collect information to find things. So both of these things can be true. The AI LLM search engine that wins is the one that gets those answers consistently
Right.
right. I think Google has the best shot at that right now, by the way, because they've got the wealth of search data where we tell the
Right.
truth, and all the other models are dependent on Google
It
today.
is interesting though, like, it feels like the loop is getting closed on the technological side now of kind of bringing humanity into technology
Mm.
rather than just having the technology be the more literal, programmatic, sequential kind of thing that it was. And I like that view. That's something I'm gonna have to think about more.
I mean, eventually, as people use things, you learn how they do and don't use it,
Right.
and you start to optimize and you start to make
Yeah.
that's exactly what's happening every single day. We see them updating their models all the time, trying to serve people better based on how they see people using them, based on the feedback they're getting when they're putting up the
Yeah.
testing side by side and the answers. All of these platforms have every incentive to try to serve customers better, to serve those
Right.
needs better, and to get the information right. And one of the things that they will do is start looking for those signs of credibility.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking for thought leaders and experts in
Right.
key areas that have street cred and real experience that they can point to because these machines need to be fed with information.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. And it is fascinating. I'm selfishly starting to think about like my own business, my own
Mm,
podcast, all that sort of stuff, like, how those all start feeding together and creating this view. The first feeling is a little bit of overwhelm. The second one is a little bit more of excitement. Like it feels like it
yeah.
can start to tie together a little bit better. No, I like
Tie
that a lot.
together, that phrase tie together, right? Like now I can take all these things that I was doing that kind of existed separately, my social, my search, my
Right.
web, my offline PR, whatever.
Yeah.
All of these things can now be sourced in whole answers. So now all of that work needs to start coming together and connecting like never before.
No, I love it. I think that that's so great. And Heather, I've been enjoying this whole conversation. Unfortunately, we do have to start wrapping up. I'm
No.
curious if someone has questions for you around discoverability, around leadership, around conservation, another one of your passions. What's the best way for them to get into contact with you?
Well, I am at Heather Physioc on all the things, including heatherphysioc.com. So please look me up and get in touch.
Awesome. Heather, this has been absolutely fantastic. I'm not surprised that we probably ran a little bit long and that I'm feel like I'm having to cut this off too soon because it's been absolutely so much fun. For everyone else who's here with us till the end, while you're down there, as always, leaving that 5-star review, I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and as I'm sure Heather would as well. Where do you see the future of discoverability? Like, how do you see things coming together? What are your fears? What are your hopes? What's working for you? What's not? I think there's a wealth of information, and I think sharing with each other is one of the best ways to keep growing and to keep learning. And if you know anyone else that would benefit from Heather's perspective, share this episode. We love it when people share the wealth and pass it around. Heather, thank you again. This was absolutely fantastic.
Let's get brainy again sometime, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. For everyone else, we'll see you next time on Breakthrough Innovation.